Well, my gripe is leave my ass alone. Get out of my email box.
Yeah,
Go find somebody else.
That's much more like of a valid point. Like,
Do
you should do the opposite. Just act super interested. And then give them fake credit card numbers and just like nonstop, just keep bugging the shit out of them so they're wasting their time all the time. And I'm like, fuck this guy. He's a...
They're forced to take me off their list.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll just be like 100 emails down, and then all of a sudden at the very bottom, he's like, fuck you. And you're just like, thank you. Yeah. All right, bye. Kiss emoji. Hey everyone, this is Wait and Dry. I'm Joshua Lawyer.
I'm Sergio Lopez, at Main Loop on Instagram. I feel like I gotta say that because this guy on Instagram today was like, oh my god, I didn't realize that you at Main Loop and Sergio on the podcast are the same person.
We've made fun of Main Loop many a times.
It's like, how is that even possible? But so, there we go.
That has nothing to do with you, Sergio.
Either way, just to clarify, in case anybody else is silently feeling
But I wasn't
dumb
done
right
with
now.
my intro. This is the podcast where you get... all right. Just in case people feel like I'm a bully when you're not here. Because I think I made that joke when you weren't here.
You were. It was on the Bryce episode. Yeah, I remember.
But, yeah. It was funny the other day. Someone was like, oh, like they like complimented me. They slid into my DMs and complimented me on something.
Yeah.
And I wrote back like, oh, thank you. And they were like, oh, also like best of wishes to you and Sergio and the podcast. And I wrote like, oh, you're a podcast listener? Oh, like then thanks for the wishes. Also, you don't have to give Sergio your best wishes. Like third best is fine.
Runner up wishes.
Yeah. It's plenty. They said I forget. They said something like I'm cold-blooded or something like that.
Okay.
But there's something about when I find out someone's a podcast listener. Mm-hmm. Like if they're like, "Oh, I love the podcast," so I'm like, "Cool." Now I could be not an asshole, but like maybe like make my humor just like a little bit darker than when I'm on.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much," and then if they're like, "Oh, I love the podcast," I'm like, "Oh, cool, fuck off," or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just nice to know. But yeah, so yeah, no guest, obviously. Sorry guys. But pretty much after today, we're not going to have a no guester for a couple months.
That's right. You're welcome.
So we can't talk about ourselves for a while. So great. Now we have to learn about people and
my least favorite part of doing this podcast.
Talk about their stuff. Thanks a lot. Well, yeah. So, yeah, what's up with you?
Just busy finishing up paintings for a bunch of shows. For some reason, I decided that, I'll wait till I'm a week away from deadlines to start everything I need to start.
No, that's not artist. That's not what artists do. We're known to deal with time management very well.
I know, exactly.
Are you always like that?
I try not to be, but there's never enough time to finish everything like in a reasonable manner, like deadlines.
Yeah.
You're always working right up until the deadline for everything. Yeah. But actually this time, considering how much I need to do, I actually finished ahead of schedule on most of the stuff that I need to do. So nice. I'm actually all right.
Yeah. I feel like I'm pretty good at that, but MJ's, she's horrible. It just becomes like the tension grows, the close, because I'm like jogging into the finish line, like, yay, I finished. And she's like, I can't sleep for the next 5 days. And I'm like, well, I mean, that's not my fault. If anything, it's less my fault than anyone's, because I also am like making her wood panels and she doesn't have that extra work on her plate. All the framing and all that stuff. But yeah, that's me talking shit about my wife. That's that one segment.
Yeah, even that. She on Instagram, she's like, "Yeah, Josh is always yelling at me for my poor time management."
God, it's not really a yell as much as like a disappointment.
Yeah.
What was it? The other day, she asked me something, and I was like, I just bluntly told her what I thought. I think it was, did I talk about this where she's trying to design a beer logo?
No.
Well, she's like talking with a local brewery, and trying to potentially do some logos for them. So they gave her a list of all of their beer names from the past year, and kind of like, so she can like come up with some ideas and they can check them out. And so she came up with like 2 ideas, and they're not the greatest in my opinion.
Oh.
And so she was like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "I don't like them." And then she was like, "What should I do?" And then I told her that she should do like a bunch of ideas for each, and like pick like a couple of the titles that she likes and do like a bunch for each.
Yeah.
And then kind of whittle that, like loose drawings, and then whittle that down, and then like refine it the more you get kind of closer to the look you're going for.
Right.
And she wasn't too happy about it, and then so I got like upset.
Welcome to
like,
being an illustrator.
Yeah. I mean, I have no background in any of that. It just seems like if I had to do it a certain way, like if I had to do that, I would do it that way, because I mean, it's someone else's business.
That's exactly what you're taught to do in school anyway. So
yeah, so you don't even need school. You just figure it out like a logical. What they should tell you is just like be logical, and then if you're a logical person, don't go to school, I guess. But you already know that because you're logical. But yeah, she wasn't happy with me, and then I was like, well, it just became a bigger argument, and then yeah, then we the funny thing, we went to like a party with like a bunch of artists, and there was this guy there with a very like weird accent, because he was from New York but he lived in Germany for like 10 years, and
crazy.
and South America. I guess MJ said he spoke like really, really good Spanish. But it was like, he'd be like, I don't know, I couldn't redo his act, but he's like, "I'm from New York," but it was like the phrasing would be German, like how they would word things, and it was like a very interesting. But she said I yelled at her, and she explained the story to this guy, and the guy was like, "That's some good advice he gave you," which was great. It was like a pat on the back, like, "Thank you."
So then she threw her drink at him.
But yeah, really cool guy, actually.
Nice.
I don't know where we're going with this.
Just talking more shit about MJ while she's not here.
Yeah, it works out. Also, Harry Potter, suck it. Witches aren't real. What else do we got? Sailor Moon, the worst anime. I got nothing else. I can't think of anything right now. I was gonna say Japanese culture, but then that just
then you're like, wait a second.
Wait a second. But yeah, that's cool.
What was I gonna say? We went to go see Jeremy Mann show.
Oh yeah,
last weekend. That was cool.
And watch his movie. Yeah, the show was awesome.
Yeah,
that was the first time I believe I've seen one of his shows.
Oh really? Oh okay.
Yeah.
So then, I guess you've probably never been to any of the John Pence Gallery shows.
None. No.
Okay.
I didn't own a bow tie back then.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't even know where John Pence Gallery is. Was it by the like with the wharves or something?
No, it was on Post Street, like almost like maybe a couple blocks down from Spoke Art.
Huh. Maybe I have been there. I don't know. I wish I would have. That's like the one gallery I was like, I gotta start going to that gallery and checking out their shows.
Yeah.
But never did. And R.I.P. to that gallery. So
I know.
That sucks.
I know. Sad times.
But yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Have you thought more about the movie since?
No.
Actually, really haven't that much either, but it's still a really interesting movie, especially while you're watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk shit.
All right.
I mean, the main thing I would say is that like I like highly respect what he's attempting to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't even like the films I watch are very narrative, and
Yeah.
he took it as like an approach to it, like a artist would, where the narrative
Mm-hmm.
is very loose and
Yeah.
which is super interesting. But like I don't know, like I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to someone, and like for me, movies are like an escape.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like that movie to me wasn't an escape. It was like
Yeah.
me in my head the entire time trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it is. What's the movie called again?
The Conductor.
The Conductor. That's right. Yeah. I mean, there's some awesome parts to it, and some like one of our buddies, he had like a good theory about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting," and it made me think like, "Oh, maybe he just figured it out," and to me, it like made no sense. I
Mm-hmm.
was like very lost. I was like, "What the fuck does that mean? And what does this mean?"
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Yeah. I feel sort of the same way about movies in general. What you were saying about it being more of an escapism thing. For me, the movies I enjoy have a strong story arc to them,
Right.
a good structure to them, and that one, yeah, it's just what I like to get out of movies. I didn't necessarily get out of his movie.
Yeah.
I looked at it more like a art piece that you have to watch for like an hour and a half, basically.
Yeah. I mean, like for instance, like Mulholland Drive, right? People fucking love that movie.
Uh-huh.
I got offended when I realized that like you had to like if you didn't get it, which I didn't off the bat. I watched it when I was pretty young, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is this movie?"
Yeah.
And then someone's like, "Oh, you should read about it, and then rewatch it, and you'll get it."
Mm.
And I was like, fuck no! Like that's not how things work here. Like
Yeah.
they give you no like like you have to like do research to get the movie. Like no
Mhm.
thank you, no thank you at all.
Yeah.
uh
Do you feel that way about paintings too?
no, well I was talking to someone because I was after we watched the movie. I can't remember who exactly, but I was talking about how I think it was Ian.
Oh, okay.
I forget his last name. He was potentially supposed to be on today, but he couldn't make it.
Yeah.
But he'll be on. But
Mhm.
I think I was talking to him, but just about how like watching that movie. One thing I realized was that I feel like art forms in general make you get lost in them.
Mm.
If you listen to music, like that's why I hate going to concerts because I'm too much in my head. But
Oh,
I
really?
love music, so I love listening to it by myself.
Okay.
But when I'm around people, I don't want to fucking think like, did this person like this song? Or, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, really?
I don't know. There's, but music, I think you get lost in it.
Mhm.
Movies, I feel like the same way with it. And it just made me think about like maybe a big part of art is getting lost in it. And
Mm.
I think paintings have that power,
Mm.
but I don't know if I'm necessarily thinking about that much.
Yeah.
So that was like one interesting thing. That's kind of the issue with watching the movie was like I was like breaking it down as an art form and
Yeah.
thinking about it like that and thinking about is he accomplishing it in the way that like I think the medium should be done,
Mm.
which is like just my opinion. So
Yeah.
I might be just an asshole. I mean, it's not even that. It's just I have my opinions of. It's like artwork, like I
Yeah.
have paintings I like and paintings I don't like, and
Yeah.
that's just because I think this person did it the way I like it to be done. Is
Mhm.
pretty much how it comes down to,
Yeah.
even if it's not in my style. So, but yeah, getting lost in it,
Hmm.
and yeah, even when I go to like the Jeremy Mann show, like it gives me that, you know, like going there and like seeing his artwork, that gave me the getting lost in his artwork,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
where
Yeah.
like the movie wasn't that, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because when I was watching the movie, I don't know if I got the or if I experienced it the way that he intended for it to work. Because I was looking at more like uh, almost how I look at his paintings too, where I'm like, oh, how did he do that?
Right.
Like looking at the technical aspects of it. Like
Right.
it's like the impressive part about it to me was how much it was such a DIY, like
For sure.
his vision and mostly his. I mean, he had people helping him, of course, but this crew was super small, and
Right.
so he was telling us about, like, even afterwards at the show, he was talking to a few people and he's telling a little bit behind the scenes stuff where he had to wait for like certain time to get the light exactly how he wanted and how he had to build all this crap and all the sets and all that stuff and like how he had to set it on fire and like hope it worked out and stuff like that. Just doing all that
Right.
kind of stuff is just like to hear him talk about, oh, that's how he did that. And but at the same time, as I was watching the movie, thinking most of the time, how did he do that? Or how did he
Right.
get access to that set area or whatever? So yeah, I mean that's kind of how I look at his paintings a lot of times too, where I'm like, once I kind of know how he makes some of those marks, it's a little bit different, but it's still sort of like this part of it. It's like, oh man, how did he even do that?
Right.
Sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, even with that knowledge, I was talking to someone else about his techniques, and I was like, yeah, there's the thing I appreciate the most about it is like there's moments where he's being very ballsy with it, you know, like he's like, this might fuck it up, you know, and then he just does it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like the impressive thing that he lives in that I think so often that he's just mastered the like I'm like, you know, where he feels comfortable with like the I might fuck it up, but probably not because I'm good at not fucking things up, but
yeah,
walking that tightrope, which is like the impressive part with his techniques. And yeah, that's what I respect like the most is probably is like a tech on the technical side is that like, ooh, you really pushed it to the edge there.
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Which is great, but I don't know. I mean, yeah. I think we talked about that enough.
But that is a thing that I do think about as well. Like artists who are fearless with their techniques and mediums tend to be the ones who I respect the most as painters.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. But the interesting thing is I feel like you don't when it comes to like narrative, right? I mean, maybe you do.
You mean, I'm not sure what you mean, like fearless with their narrative? Or?
Yeah. Like, cause
I don't even know what that means really.
Cause I think we've talked about this before, but like, about the obsession with subtlety and that kind of thing with art. And so what ends up happening is I feel like people are almost afraid to be too narrative in their artwork, or they don't allow themselves to go there because they don't want to look like cliche or maybe like kind of tacky or lame or something like that. Or so there's like this weird thing, but I remember mentioning it before with like the Quentin Tarantino analogy of like, you know, there's people that, you know, maybe allow themselves to go there narrative wise.
Okay,
and then
I see what you mean.
Get to push it and learn. I was just thinking about that personally of like, I should stop trying to, I mean, not necessarily stop trying to be subtle with my narrative, but also tried to like explore being like just like more narrative without being fearful of it, and trying to learn that like tightrope walk. You know?
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, that's I didn't think of. Yeah, you could totally think of story that way if we're thinking about art in that way too.
For sure.
So, yeah. That's an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, I thought I've already explained this before, but I think you finally heard me, Sergio. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think people just pushing the boundaries And like it's that whole tightrope thing. Like
Yeah.
you can definitely overdo things, and you can definitely make a boring painting, and it's all about like I don't know. I think street artists have like that, like they have it like built in, but to me it's lame as fuck. Like,
Have what built in?
like the like edginess of their artwork.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
like technically their medium is pushing it to the edge.
Oh, right. Okay.
You know, so they don't have to be technically driven. They just have to put it out illegally, and then and then that like adds that edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just over that part of it.
Well, I mean, I did graffiti. Graffiti and street art are very different. I mean, ask anyone that does graffiti about like street art, they're like, "Fuck those guys." But yeah, I think graffiti as like a whole, it's more like of a different mindset and weird thing. It's not so get your art out there. It kind of is, but at the same time, it's not. It's more like community based, where like you only care about other graffiti artists.
Okay.
Street art is much more like of people need to know my art. You know, not necessarily. I mean, I've never wrote in those circles, but it always seemed to me much more like trying to get my art out there so people can see it, rather than graffiti being like, oh, this like writer wants to go paint with me now. Like that's cool. You know, like they don't really care about the outside world.
Oh, I see.
It's almost anti that in a way. Like like if anyone goes and pursues fame in like a gallery sense or something like that, they're like, fuck that guy. Like, I don't fuck with him. So, I mean, I've also had arguments of that mentality with people about that mentality, because I also want people to eat. You know, it's like, well, I mean, he's doing it for a living now, so that's great, but the mindset is different going into it.
Yeah.
You know?
So when you started with graffiti, you were more of the mindset of like, fuck those guys who want to be famous, kind of, or?
Well, I was separated like my art from graffiti. Graffiti was more like just a really fun time with friends.
Okay. But you didn't have like a sort of like code of ethics about it in that way?
I mean, well, I definitely have my own code of ethics when it comes to that stuff. Like some graffiti artists, they paint over murals, and I don't really subscribe to that, you know?
Okay.
And their logic is like, well, it's harder for them to paint over it without going over the mural, so it runs longer is the idea. But to me, that's like a lame idea. You know, it's a lame reason. But, you know, I mean, I'm also don't, like, that's my rules. I'm not pushing my rules on anyone else. You know, I don't write on people's houses unless I'm shit-faced drunk, and then I apologize. And then, you know, those kind of things. Like, I'm going to have I mean, I have it for everything I do, really. My little code of ethics.
Sure.
The old, what's the guy from The Wire? God, I can't remember. Dude with the scar.
Omar?
Yeah, Omar. There's something where he's like snitching on people. And he's like, you got to have a code, because he did it for a reason. But yeah, I mean, that, you know, I don't know how we got here. But yeah, as far as like street art, their art represents them, you know, like if you do street art, you're being like that art is representing you. And you have an end goal of having that art do something for you.
Okay.
I think maybe there's some people out there who literally are just doing it to have art on the streets, but I don't think that's that big of, like, I don't think there's an urge for there to be more art on the streets. I mean, there's a ton of murals.
Yeah.
There's a ton of graffiti. There's a ton of street art. I don't think you necessarily need any more. Like, no one needs your thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. That can be said for most art, can it?
What?
That nobody needs it. Like, you have to make yourself, there's nothing inherently valuable about art for the sake of it.
Right.
You kind of have to you have to make your own value out of it.
For sure. but the thing with street art is it bypasses the gallery or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
So like the idea is that like that there needs to be people need to see more artwork. That's like the whole there's like an underlining like
okay.
always redundant message that comes that's always attached to street art of like
Okay.
people need to see art and it's the uncensored version of art, not like these galleries. Like somehow
right.
galleries are like, no, we don't show
man.
political shit.
Yeah,
exactly. Where it's like, but do we need more? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like, I mean, we have Instagram or whatever. Like, there's all these platforms to put your art out there, and for art to be seen. And I don't think art is not being seen, is what I'm saying. So, like this reason for why they do what they do of like putting art into the public without being censored, isn't like it's kind of like a little cop out. In my opinion, I don't know. I'm talking mad shit right now. I'm not even drunk.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like if I think maybe what they're trying to say is that people have too much of a preconceived notion of where you're supposed to look at art. So
Right.
breaking people out of that mold is maybe valid, but
What I'm saying is that's not valid anymore because there's plenty of street art and there's plenty of mural art. There's plenty of public art.
okay.
Like, I don't know how much is enough, I guess. Maybe America's not as like muraled up as like Europe or something or Brazil.
Yeah.
So maybe we need more. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Because I don't think gallery art is as big of a thing in Europe as it might be here.
Suck it, Europe. I mean, but that's I've heard that plenty, right? Is like there's a you always hear like, oh, there's plenty of great artists in Europe, but there's no one buying art in Europe or some shit like that. And you're like, well, that's because you guys. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't know. We should probably get away from this. I don't know why the fuck I'm still talking about. But yeah, how many paintings are you painting right now?
Let's see. I have one on the easel right now. One I'm just wrapping up, and then the
like wrapping up the ship or
wrapping up like finishing pretty soon
for sure.
So yeah, I guess technically two on the thing, and then I just finished up one for the Moleskine show in London. So I finished that earlier.
Bloody hell!
Exactly. It'll be a good show in it.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So okay, so when you're wrapping up a painting, right? Let's go through the list. You wire your shit?
Oh, I haven't done that yet. No. Well, yeah.
But do you?
I do, yeah.
About do you well, we did the sign. You sign it, right? Bottom
I
right?
signed it.
You're bottom right guy?
Yeah, bottom right guy.
Okay, keep it classy. Nice. What else? Do you paint the edges?
Almost never.
Oh, you dirty, dirty dog. Sick man. Okay.
Well, I almost never just hang them like just cradle style.
Oh, right. You frame them.
Most of the time, yeah.
Never mind. I take the dirty dog back. You're classy, all the way around. No wonder you're going to be showing in London.
Yeah, exactly.
A tip of the hat over there from plenty of, I don't know, whatever. But what else? What else do you have to do? Do you do you date the back?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Nice. Photograph it.
Yep.
All right.
Most of the time.
When you ship it, bubble wrap.
Oh man, the shipping part is probably the least professional part of what I do. Yeah, I usually just recycle whatever packing things I've gotten from over.
So Amazon.
From other,
Amazon.
a lot of Amazon bubbles and stuff like that too. Yeah, or just like from when people or when frame companies send me framing materials.
Dirty dick, man! How dare you? Have you been watching the David Chaffetz? Shout out to David. I don't know if we've ever done that before on this podcast.
Yeah. Who?
Have you been watching his like stories?
No, I
The
haven't.
man packs like a gentleman.
Oh yeah, I did see that one.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I need to save these stories.
Yeah, he should put them on those little like bubbles. You know?
Yeah, exactly. The highlights.
I
Yeah.
don't know what those are called, but yeah, those things.
Yeah.
He should do
He
that.
should. Yeah. Totally.
I know. I just thought of that the other day that I need to do a frequently asked question
Oh yeah.
of just like all my materials. Just
Yeah.
like, this is that. This is that. Just so I
That's
can
great.
just go
Good
like,
idea,
go to
yeah.
my highlighted FAQ one,
Yeah.
which I learned FAQ on this podcast, by the way.
Did you?
I'm growing up, Mom. Your boy's growing up.
Who taught you that?
I think you.
Oh really?
Well, someone dropped it like FAQ, and I'm like, "What is that?" And you're like, "Frequently asked question." I'm like, "Of course it is."
Oh, okay.
I never know any of those. Like, what are the acronyms?
Acronyms, yeah.
I never know any of them. I know like laugh out loud.
You know SMD. Or maybe
no,
not.
what is that one, Sergio? Please say it out loud for all of us to.
Or keep it PG.
Is it steal my Doritos?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I guess I do know that one.
Yep.
Nice. Well, thanks for asking, Sergio. I'm painting.
Oh, you are?
No, but I'm getting ready to.
I saw you do. Yeah, you posted up a drawing on a on a wood panel.
Yeah. I'm doing 3 wood panels, I think. So I'm just starting that. I'm pretty excited about it. I have no clue. They're only like fun portraits. Is what it ends up going to be.
Mm.
There's no like narrative. I might like add stuff that I always do,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just like always like an underlining hum of my artwork, but not necessarily like anything to these.
Yeah.
So I'm just playing around with some little things here.
Mm.
I still have been like playing with just like what the fuck is the word called? Not vanishing point, the horizon line.
Oh, okay.
There we go. I'm hella smart. And now I'm like just doing something with the placement of the figures. Those are the only things I've planned. I have like one little thing planned for one of the paintings, but it's very little as far as narrative.
Oh,
And
okay.
even then, it's barely anything. But yeah.
This for a show?
Yeah, I think I talked about this. The Ben show I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just like a bunch of tiny paintings.
Yeah.
So
How big are they going to be?
8x10s.
Oh, all right. Nice.
Yeah. It's a size I like painting. I mean, I like painting somewhat small
Oh, okay.
for the most
Yeah.
part. Kind of like that. I don't know. Maybe the most, like my favorite size is probably like 16 height wise, and I don't know, somewhere around 14 or something, 14 by 16 or
Oh, really?
something like that. Somewhere in that rough range. I got no.
So relatively squarish, do you like more?
Well, those 2 inches like make a big difference. I always feel like,
Mm.
because I'm always surprised. I'm always like, oh, I'll do like a 12 by 14 looks good, and then I'll do it. I'm like, God, that's too thin. Like, I need it to be a little bit chunkier.
Huh.
Maybe
Really?
like the rectangle of that bag there. Maybe like the rectangle of a paper bag, like that kind of dimensions.
Oh, all right.
It's not
Huh.
totally a square, but
Yeah.
it's not a skinny rectangle.
Right. Huh. That's
But yeah.
interesting.
Is it?
To me, it is, kind of.
To other people, they're totally asleep right now. Wake the fuck up. Sorry, we're talking about rectangles and squares right now. I apologize.
I'm like, tell me more about your rectangles and squares.
You're like, interesting. Really? Because I almost fell asleep myself there. But yeah, I watched Black Panther yesterday, by the way.
Oh, for the first time?
Yeah, it was horrible.
You didn't like it?
Miserable. Really bad.
Oh, really?
But I don't like many comic book movies.
Mm-hmm.
See, they tricked me with that fucking not the Avengers. maybe it was whatever the one is with like the purple guy.
Oh yeah,
All these comic book people that are listening, their fucking
purple
heads
guy.
are exploding.
Barney,
Yeah, purple guy with the fucking chunky lips, and he's got those like, when people have like the like lines on the back of their head, or like
Yeah.
they got like, I don't know what that is. It's like they got like a part of them is like Sharpay.
Yeah, yeah,
The wrinkle, he has that, but on his like the bottom of his lip.
yeah, exactly.
But the one with that guy,
Yeah.
that one was awesome. I watched that. I was like, whoa, that was surprisingly better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, right.
But yeah, but I think when they're like specific character development stuff, like the Black Panther one, I'm like, oh, this is miserable. Or, I don't know, pretty much any of them.
That's almost all of them.
Yeah, all of them. That was the one that surprised me. And I mean, I also just watched Deadpool 2, like maybe like 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, all of a sudden I'm like, am I into comic book movies?
Oh, you like that one?
Of course I did. What is your problem?
I'm just asking. I tried to say it with as little judgment in my voice as I could.
Wait, did you like that one?
It was fine.
How dare you?
It was kind of almost the same movie as the first one.
Oh, no.
Other than not as funny to me.
Are you serious?
Yes.
All right, everyone send your hate mail to me at Main Loop on
Find
Instagram.
me on Instagram, yeah.
God, I don't know. Maybe I was just in the right mindset to laugh, but I thought the movie was so funny. I don't know. It's like even the Guardians of the Galaxies, like they make me laugh so much, and I'm like, I don't know if this is like that funny. But yeah, it's very like comedic punchline, and like set it up, punch it down kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. I like it.
Yeah. No, I think, I probably laugh more at the Guardians movies than Deadpool.
Oh, cool. Cool, Sergio. Cool.
Well, this is that segment of the podcast where we talk about movies.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I brought up that shitty movie. I started listening to the Joe Rogan interview Elon Musk, but I wasn't able to finish it. But that's a meme right now because I guess Elon smoked some weed with Joe.
Yeah.
People are furious.
Are they furious?
Stockholders.
Oh, okay.
So that's all good. Oh, you know what else we forgot to talk about? The dopest rap battle in rap battle history.
Which one?
Beef? You're not keeping up with the beef?
No. Which one?
No.
Is it about Eminem?
Oh, is it? It is literally the worst thing ever. There is a lot of sunscreen being used in this rap battle.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Or rap beef, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I know what you're talking
And
about.
it's just all the pale facers going at it. It's hilarious. There's this weird thing that happens within rap music, like women for a long time, there was like this mentality that there could only be one woman rapper, one female rapper.
Right.
And the same thing applies to white rappers. They're like always biting at each other. Like, you can't be it. So they're always like fighting each other. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also like ridiculous. It's like the most ridiculous thing ever. It's so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of fun to laugh about. I don't really care too much about like the actual beef tracks or tracks of beef. Well, how do you say that?
No idea.
Beefy tracks.
Beefy tracks.
But yeah, the commentary afterwards is so much fun. Like comedians talking about it, and
sure.
music listeners, like personality people talking about it. It's hilarious. And I don't know if anyone's mentioned the paleness of it yet, but you heard it here first.
My favorite part about these rap beefs is hearing Brian Callen talk about him because he's with it.
Oh yeah, did they talk about it?
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Oh yeah, I think
Firing
I
the
heard
kid.
that. Yeah, that's hilarious. God, if you haven't seen Crystalia pretending to be Eminem, oh my
Oh yeah,
God,
that's hilarious.
so much fun. I'm not even the biggest Crystalia fan.
Uh-huh.
Funny enough, he's like I like him as a podcaster. I hate his comedy. Like his stand up, I'm not a fan of at all. But whatever, to each their own.
Mm.
Send your email main loop, by the way, about that. But yeah, I don't know. What else you got going on? Back on it. All right. Sorry.
Take 2 of what else you got going on.
What else you got going? Damn, I had so much shit to. I mean, you sent us a link to that podcast.
Oh, to Harsh Truth.
Harsh Truth.
Uh-huh.
The one with the owner of Thinkspace, and like I was listening to that. Which, if you haven't listened to it and you're an artist and trying to learn some gallery shit, for sure, that's like a huge listen. I would highly suggest it. He's like one of the few gallery people. Whenever I hear anything he talks about, he's almost like everything he says, I'm like, that is dead on correct. He's brutally honest about the relationship between galleries and artists.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In a way that's so refreshing and might hurt your feelings, but I love it. So yeah, I would highly suggest it. But after listening to that episode, I was like, oh man, there's so much shit we could talk about. Just like my mind was going crazy, and now a couple days later, and I got nothing, at least art wise.
Well, drink more, maybe you'll remember.
Yeah.
But
Cheers.
one of the things he said in that episode that I really liked and totally made sense was about how he's talking about galleries kind of needing to hold their weight in terms of like not just piggybacking on artists already being famous.
Yeah, and I think he mentioned something about that on like a Juxtaposed article as well.
Oh, okay.
And I really appreciate that. It's just like, because you feel it as an artist. Like, there's like this weird thing where like a gallery, like, you know, I've heard it before where like galleries won't fuck with someone unless they have a certain amount of followers or something.
Yeah.
Some kind of like internet notoriety. But then you look at some of these galleries and you're like, but you don't have that. Like, and not only that, but I'm posting only what I can paint, like speed wise, you know, like I'm trying to bust out this. You have like however many artists you're working with, their artwork, you know, and it's even a thing where like, I feel like galleries don't need to like only limit themselves to like the artwork that they're showing, you know, like if you're trying to develop an artist, why not show something they're showing somewhere else? Like,
that's a good point.
To big up them. Like, you have a working relationship with this person. You want them to be successful because that means your success. Like, like you should be supporting this artist. If they're doing something, you're like, holy shit, that's dope. I think you should be like, holy shit, that's dope. I like will put in my stories all the time of like shows I'm at or whatever that have nothing to do with me. Yeah. They're just artists I enjoy. But yeah.
Yeah, and if they're worried about like sending traffic to a different gallery, you can just like show a piece that's sold or something like that. They're that worried about that part of it.
But who cares? I mean, God.
Yeah.
That weird like competitiveness, like the unfriendly competitiveness to me is stupid. You know, it's the whole like rising tide scenario, and I think that applies to galleries as well. It's like, if you have artists that are doing well, then you're going to do well. Like, I mean, it just is what it is. So just get them to be, you know, I mean, yeah, you don't want to like promote them if they're showing like a block away from you.
Yeah.
But even then, like, the guy from Spoke Art, he seemed like he talked very highly about like Corey Halford Gallery, which at one point they were like right down the street from each other.
Oh, Thinkspace?
Yeah. Before Corey Halford moved, but they used to be like a block away,
Yeah.
and they seem like they have a great relationship.
It sounds like it. Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly what their relationship was because
least-
it sounded like.
At least highly respect each other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I wasn't sure how that works out. Like when galleries, especially down in LA, how they interact with each other because there is, especially if you're in like the same genre of galleries,
right.
how that works too.
I don't know. At least from what he was saying, it seemed like because he was also spoke very highly about Lalou's gallery.
Oh,
and those are all very similar galleries to what he does.
Yeah.
And I think the way that he speaks of these galleries also makes me think it's like a proof of the rising tide. Like right now, I think LA is killing it.
Yeah.
Like as far as art wise, I'm like, fuck, they're doing it and they're doing it right, and they're doing it like some fucking pros in like every single way. I like in a lot of ways. I don't live out in there, so maybe when you go down there and see how the sausage is made, maybe things might change a little bit. But from an outside perspective, the artists I think are really doing great work down there, and I think the galleries are also matching that, and it's creating this atmosphere that leads to success for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that just makes me kind of sad for how much San Francisco's changed the gallery scene.
Yeah.
How it's not like that anymore, really.
Yeah, and I think, there's like also like the whole White Wall thing. Like that was a huge gallery for the Bay Area who literally just fucked over a lot of people. And that's probably a big part of our art scene being the way it is. If you think about it, like one of our big galleries has a horrible reputation.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah, and then also John Pence Gallery that we mentioned earlier, that closing down.
Yeah.
That was a whole different genre of art for the most part, but it was still like the only place in the West Coast that you could find like a East Coast style gallery in that way.
Right.
Not having that also kind of takes a lot of the, I guess, being a destination to go for a gallery of that kind, like that takes San Francisco out of that equation.
For sure.
Yeah, and then you have to go like to LA and like go to like Arcadia Contemporary to find something like that.
Yeah.
So this is just our planning our move to LA, I guess.
Yeah, I know, it's fucking tempting. I swear to God, me and MJ were just talking about that. We're like, it's so tempting to go out there. I was thinking about it today at work because it's like, do you sit down and like hunker in and go like, I'm not gonna fucking move, because this is like my home.
Yeah,
and I don't care what the scene is, or do you go to where it's like, where like the scene is really killing it, to try to be a part of that scene.
Yeah,
and it's a weird thought to have because, it's like, do I want to like weather the storm? But the assumption is that there's brighter days ahead. But that's not necessarily true,
right.
Like, I don't know if, like Cleveland will never be an art scene. No diss to Cleveland.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. And so does someone that lives in Cleveland go like, I'm going to hunker down?
Yeah.
Or do they go like, I need to get the fuck to LA or New York or somewhere.
Or at least Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. At least Chicago. Come on, Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it is tempting because, I don't know, there's this weird, I feel like there's just like this weird thing that's happening in LA where everyone seems to be pushing hard forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I feel that here as far as like art wise, creating artwork. Like the people that are creating out there are pushing forward fast, in my opinion. And
like the scene as a whole, or you see like individual artists in LA that you're like, yeah,
maybe it's just a whole numbers game, and maybe they just have a shitload of artists there. But I remember a couple years back when like the crash happened, it seemed like everyone went north and south. There was a shitload of people that went to Portland, shitload of people that went to LA.
Yeah.
And I feel like the LA people are benefiting way more and are pushing fast forward way more than the people that moved to or like Portland in that area.
Yeah, that
There's a
makes
couple
sense.
of like standouts up there for sure. Like El Coro is El killing it.
Yeah.
I mean, but I feel like the people that really benefited moved south, you know, for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just gonna. It'll be. It's just natural that people, if you get enough people who are creative and are trying to make it, because you kind of go to LA to make it, quote unquote.
For sure.
So it makes sense. Enough people together like that. If you're in a scene down there, it's just gonna make you want to pull your weight in that scene. So that it definitely would help in that regard. I think being around people.
They also have like this weird environment of like celebrity there.
Yeah.
And that celebrity is somewhat intertwined with like certain artists. Mm-hmm. And I think that allows like this weird respect for artwork or artist in general, you know? And that ends up making it, because of the whole status thing there, it allows some artists to like become big artists in a weird way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I'm not necessarily trying to pursue that. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to always sell my artwork like they are, which would be awesome, but that's not necessarily my end goal.
It does seem like, artists down there have more of an opportunity to work with big name celebrities, and even maybe not just celebrities, but celebrities in their field, like a celebrity of fashion or something like that.
For sure.
Doing a collaboration with them, which I'm down to do too. So like, just collaborating with.
Don't you have that like that thing coming up with Ross?
Exactly.
Or was that Marshall's?
I do my own line of overly large mesh shorts, mesh basketball shorts.
It's hilarious. But I mean, it's very tempting. I own my house, so I mean, I also could probably rent it out and make like a little bit of money from doing so.
Probably.
So there's that, but MJ's also like, her parents are like helicopter parents.
Yeah.
But like, what's more than that? What's more than helicopter parents? Like, they're like jumbo jet airline, commercial airline. I don't want to say jumbo.
Air traffic controller.
Seems like a fat person joke or something. They're whatever a hovering parent is, but more. I don't know, but I don't remember what we're talking about. Something super deep, probably, and super cool.
We're talking about my upcoming deal with Marshalls.
Yeah, but you were saying something about raw art or something like that.
Oh, it's just something that it ties into something bigger. But I guess you don't get these emails, but I feel like a lot of people in the Bay Area do. I
don't like have like a porn subscription, so okay. I don't get sent like weird things, Sergio. But go on.
He's an artist. He likes porn. Let's subscribe to this one. There's this, I don't know what they are, an organization in the area.
Oh, Illuminati. Go on. They don't really exist, by the way.
But they're one of those, I don't know what you call them. I don't know. For lack of a better word, I'm just going to refer to them as an organization.
Right. Secretive one.
Yeah.
Do they have like an all-seeing eye?
Exactly. Yeah.
They don't exist, by the way. I get paid. I get paid to say that.
Yeah. Shout out to Plague Pros.
That's our one advertisement. Yeah. It's just like, Illuminati doesn't exist. Are you sick and tired of hearing about Illuminati? That's because they don't exist.
Paid for by the Bilderberg Group.
Yeah. But yeah.
So I get these
Did you
emails.
say bread looper, by the way?
Huh? I said Bilderberg Group.
Oh, I was like, I didn't think you said Bilderberg. I thought you said bread looper. That's what I heard.
Bread.
Well, we'll wait.
That's my other name.
Maybe we got to listen back to it.
Okay. Super hella warm.
Super hella warm.
I said, yeah, the Bread Burger Group lives in Finland.
But so you get these emails.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, every so often I get these emails from this organization that I think they just kind of solicit from every artist in the Bay Area.
Except for me.
Yeah, exactly. That they pitch you this thing where they're like, oh, we want to show your work and we want it to be in basically like a nightclub sort of setting.
Dope.
Yeah.
So like super good lighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's this thing where it's like, oh, it's like a party and there's going to be all sorts of different creative people.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, they hit up like fashion designers and all sorts of different visual artists. And the way they seem to be making money is that they rent out spaces for artists to show their work at.
Okay.
And they're like, well, you could pay $200 or something like that for the space and I think it's only for a night. And they're like, well, you can also get a discount. We'll knock off $20 of your ticket price, or not your ticket price, your booth price for every person that you get to sign up to come to the show. So it's kind of like so it's almost like an art bringer show in those terms. So yeah, I don't.
It's kind of like I remember I knew this artist who sold Avon, and they needed 5 friends to sell Avon.
Yeah, exactly.
The artist part is just a detail that's not necessary.
Exactly.
So you've been getting these weird artist pyramid schemes.
Yeah, basically. But they're like one night pyramid schemes.
See, you know what's weird is like, you know, Edana from Wonderland, she does something similar, except for she doesn't charge you to show. She just is like, I have this place for a night. And she puts your work up. Usually it's like old pieces. And then they show them, and I actually sell like kind of decent at them.
Okay.
Which is weird.
Well, if it's a win-win for you, then great. But
it's not my funnest thing to do because it is like a club environment, kind of in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like they have like loud ass music, and I'm not into like EDM at all. Like that's not my cup of tea one bit.
Yeah.
But that's because I don't do ecstasy. Like,
okay.
I'm assuming if I did ecstasy, it would probably be like my music. Is what I hear. But yeah, and that's what they play throughout the night. So I'm like, I mean, it is actually well lit in there. Like, it's not like a dark environment.
Oh, okay.
And everyone's there to like buy artsy shit.
Okay.
It's a weird environment.
Well, that's good. It sounds like she's doing it right.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna do something like that, do it that way, maybe.
But yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, one time I just kind of like the first time I got their emails, I kind of inquired about what it is, because they don't tell you all of that right from the get go.
Right.
You gotta kind of ask them, and then you figure out, oh, okay, that's the scheme. So yeah, I told them, like, this was years ago. I was like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
For sure.
And so,
I mean, I think I don't know if this should be said. I mean, I feel like it's been said plenty of times, but like, never buy a space to show your art, especially if you're just coming up. I feel like maybe if like you're killing it and you're selling a shitload, that model might work, you know?
Yeah.
Like having a space where you know your shit sells and you have a huge audience and you have a ton of collectors, then that might actually work. But if you're coming up as an artist, listeners, never pay to show your work ever.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever.
Well, yeah, that's exactly the advice I'd give anyone to coming up. But these these organizations that do that sort of thing, and there's tons of other ones. There's the whole. That's kind of what I wanted to
Right.
get at was
It's like Illuminati and then the Freemasons and then
yeah,
the Pale Facers.
white rappers that try to get you to sell your art to them. And so
you got your Slim Shadys. You got
your Machine Gun Kelly.
yeah. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
No, it's just like that whole pay-to-play model is just built on getting unsuspecting young up-and-coming artists who are desperate for a place to show. They just make their money off of people not knowing better.
Right, for sure.
And it's just like, yeah, like I wish they would stop doing that, or maybe
especially
they won't
nowadays.
stop doing that, but like just getting the word out to people, don't do that if you're young and up and coming.
And nowadays we have this thing called Instagram. So like, if you want your artwork to be seen, because you're not going to sell any at those shows, most likely.
Yeah.
These like pay to show shows.
Right.
They have no incentive to sell your shit because you just paid them. They made their money off of you.
Right. Exactly. And that's what bothers me about it. It's like these galleries, quote unquote galleries that make their money off of the artist. Like you're going after like the lowest person on the totem pole, sort of preying on them.
But at the same time, I mean, I don't know, right? Like
what?
Have you ever gone to those galleries that like you have to pay to show?
No, because the artwork is not good.
Right. That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
There's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a thing called Darwinism. And it's like when I was young and doing art and I heard about this shit, not from like anyone telling me not to pay to show at galleries. I went to a gallery and I was like, oh, how do you guys pick your artists? And they were like, well, all you have to do is pay. And I was like, fuck off. Like, no. I mean, that's one of those like logical things. Maybe some people, if you don't think that way, go to school.
Yeah. Exactly. Go to school, pay to show your work.
Yeah.
And you'll be famous.
But for me, it was like common sense. At the end of the day, I don't know. Like, I don't know, maybe.
I mean,
maybe this is a dark way of looking.
Show your work, but
I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like in like a dark version, like my darkness being like, yeah, do it. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's survival of the fittest, and like the cream rises to the top. You know, like the best artists are going to not need to pay to show their art. They're going to most likely be the most successful out of the bunch. I mean, there are these weird exceptions where I see like artists who their internet presence, I'm like, you're too good to not have more followers.
Yeah, for sure.
And not be showing at better galleries.
There's definitely that, yeah.
But you know, I mean, at the same time, I don't know. You got to be like the art world also, you have to grind. Like there is a hustle to it. There is a grind to it. You can't let people you can't sit around and wait for people to give you an opportunity, you know, like, cause fuck that, you know, fuck that. You got to go and get your shit. Like you got to work hard. You got to push. You got to do these things. The cream rises to the top, and that also includes you got to be a hustler. You got to be all these things. You just can't. Talent is a big part of it, but you have to like. It's also like how much you think about things, how smart you are business wise, how much you're trying to figure out these things at the least. Yeah, you know, these are all important things. Yeah, and you all have to obsess about every part of this thing if you want to be an artist that's successful. You can also just doodle in your fucking garage. You know, that's also an option. But, you know, it is what it is. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's what you're saying there. Like, yeah, paying to show your work in a way is kind of a cop out way to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's
rather than trying
Darwinism, like
yeah.
survival of the fittest. Like, you're probably not going to make it if that's where you're going.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean,
so
teach
yeah,
their own.
don't do that anymore. Or
Yeah.
you could, yeah,
Or
like
you
you're
could.
saying.
That's what I mean. Like,
Well, my gripe is leave my ass alone. Get out of my email box.
yeah,
Go find somebody else.
That's much more like of a valid point. Like, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah. So yeah, after not responding to them for a while, I just got fed up and like, whatever list you're on, please take me off. So I don't know if they're gonna do that.
You
or
should
not,
do
but
the opposite. You should
Do
be
what?
just act super interested, and then give them fake credit card numbers and just like nonstop, just keep bugging the shit out of them so they're wasting their time all the time. And I'm like, fuck this guy. He's a
they're forced to take me off their list.
yeah.
That's okay. I'll set up a fake account with the fake person and put my fake art on
You'll
it.
just be like 100 emails down, and then all of a sudden at the very bottom, he's like, fuck you. And you're just like, thank you. All right, bye. Kiss emoji.
It'll be the equivalent of those guys who fuck with the Nigerian scammers.
Yeah. Or like the tax collector guys. Have you heard those phone calls?
Oh, right. Yeah.
I was like, I got to go to Target. And then he's like, okay, stay on the line with me. And he'll like drive to Target with the guy on the line.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do that, yeah.
But he won't really drive to Target. He just like keeps his phone. Yeah. But yeah. 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 I don't know.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out, people. Just be obsessed is the best thing. You know, a weird question I've been getting recently is like, oh, do you use reference for your sketches?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. Someone today asked me, they were like, oh, do you use references? Because I'm trying to get away from them. And I'm like, no, I use references, and I would suggest not getting away from them for like sketches. I mean, I do certain things without reference.
Yeah.
And I'll play around with that, but yeah, I'm more like into like pushing myself time wise or like those type of things, you know, or just do a challenging pose or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on what you're using reference for. It's like, why do you want to get away from reference in the first place?
Yeah. I mean,
Let's ask him. Let's call him up.
Yeah. Hello, caller.
Yeah. You're on the air.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah. So I'm painting right now.
You are. You finally picked your brush. You're out of summer break.
Yeah.
Back
I mean,
to
I'm not
school.
even painting yet. I haven't even pushed any paint out of tubes yet.
Oh, okay.
But I'm almost there. I'm going to do my 3 sketches out first, and then I'll work on all 3 together. Because we're oil painters, so there's a lot of sitting around if you're working on one piece.
And that's true. Hence the title of the podcast.
What's that?
Artist Decoded?
Yeah. Yeah. What was that? I was talking to, or I mentioned, or I commented on Adam Caldwell.
Oh,
He commented something about, what was it? Fuck. God, I can't remember. Something about pushing paint around. He's like, oh, push paint. And I was like, oh, that was actually one of our titles we thought of for the podcast.
Oh, okay.
You know, I remember thinking of like paint pushers or something like that.
Okay.
Almost like we're drug dealers, but we push paint.
Yeah.
But it's also a play on just like, that's what we
Pushing
actually
paint
do.
around. Yeah.
Which you shut down. And I was like, thank God. After like messaging Adam, I was like, it's a pretty bad title. But yeah, I don't know. That was a fun little, I don't know. It was fun trying to think of the title of our podcast. I don't remember how many names we thought of.
Oh, I came up with that huge list.
Yeah.
None of them were good.
And then I thought of Waiting to Dry Drunk.
Yeah.
So like most of the things that happen on this podcast
And the podcast itself.
and in my life,
Yeah.
the greatest things happen when I'm shit-faced drunk.
Yeah. But yeah, we thought of this podcast when we were drunk.
It's like my superpower.
I'll wait for you to finish your beer for this podcast to get good.
I won't be drunk yet. We're going to go to a friend of ours art show today, by the way.
Yeah, at a brewery, so.
Yeah. Valerie, shout out to.
Art for Val.
Is that her Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anyone's Instagram things.
It's just whoever shows up in your feed.
I will, no, if I'm looking for someone, I'll just type in their name.
Yeah, that's normally what I do too.
And it sucks because sometimes that doesn't work.
Yeah, I know.
It's annoying as fuck. It's like, you don't even have your real name as your name?
Yeah, it'll be something weird like spiritual being or something.
Yeah. God. There's only a couple. Like, I got a buddy whose Instagram is Floss in the Sauce.
Okay.
And I know his because,
his name on.
Well, he doesn't
Instagram.
put his name on
Right.
Instagram, so I just know it because he's a good friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. Fuck. I don't know.
I had something in my head too that I forgot.
It's a common question.
What?
I don't know how stupid this question is. How do you price art?
I price by square inch.
Do you?
Yeah, pretty much. I have a little formula.
Oh, you dirty dog. God. Oh, I was going to ask you. Me and MJ, we got into this conversation the other day.
Is it about superpowers?
No. We did get into that conversation too. Yeah. About being invisible or flight.
Yeah.
Did we talk to you about that?
Yeah, that was what we did all last week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what do you mean?
After the Tony episode, after we recorded, I was just hanging around and we were bullshitting. And we were like, and then MJ was like, ask Sergio that question.
Yeah, because there's like that, there's like a radio lab. Not a radio lab. I think it's like the American one. What's that one called?
This American Life?
This American Life, yeah. I think it's that one where they talk about they're talking about superpowers and they talk about flight or invisibility. Which one would you want out of the two?
Mm-hmm.
And they say that, like, if you pick flight, well, I mean, how about this? You guys tell me which ones you guys want, and then you listeners, and then go listen to the podcast and then message us on our Instagram. Which one do you want? Invisibility or flight?
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to what I was saying earlier is after the Tony podcast, MJ was talking to me about how you and how you paint for beauty's sake.
Okay.
Right. And then we got into it about how, because I was like, well, it makes sense to a point, because if I think about like the things I consider like almost like if someone's like, what is beautiful? Like, say it now. Like the two things I would say are like the female figure and landscapes, like those, like as far as like being a male, like you're attracted to women. And as far as like other things that put me in awe, it would be landscapes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, and that's the two, like, when you're like out in surroundings, like you're like, fuck, this is beautiful. Like if you're on top of a hill, you're like, wow, this is gorgeous. I mean, I'm not a car guy, but I know car people think about that. So maybe,
yeah.
And there's very few other things I could think about. Maybe like large mammals.
Large mammals. Yeah. Flowers.
Yeah. Like if I was like I love I love a large mammal, a good elephant or
a good Neapolitan Mastiff.
All the gentle giants. MJ might be walking in the door right now.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll show up on the recording. But oh well.
I don't know.
At least we won't hear.
Wee. Yeah. But then we got into this large discussion because because I said, well, is that because we then kind of transitioned to like Tony, he was saying that like painting beauty was like like his teacher said that was like the easy thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of like was like, really? Because I think the opposite. Like I think like politics is like low hanging fruit to me. Like
In a way,
you're
like
subscribed.
when you're talking like in narrative terms, like
Yeah.
it seems to me like, oh, it's already, the narrative is already cut out for you.
Yeah, and you're already appealing to a group of people, like
Right.
that have strong beliefs about that subject.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, it's the same with religion. Like if you paint religious figures, there's a reason why a shitload of people have Virgin Marys tattooed on them. It's
Yeah.
like, but then I started thinking, is painting women and landscapes a low hanging fruit?
Mm.
I don't know if you have any thought about that.
It can definitely be argued in that. Yeah. I mean, there are
As far as
people
beauty, like
Yeah.
like if if you are painting art for beauty's sake,
hmm
is, I don't know. I'm kind of putting you on the spot right now.
I mean, it's something I think about too, but I'm also at the point now. I'm just like, I'll paint what I want at this point.
Yeah, I mean
Like,
that's exactly how I feel about things as well.
yeah,
Um,
but it's also, yeah, like I'm trying to figure out what part of painting I really like about what I do. Like,
For sure.
and there's things that I put into my paintings that I don't necessarily love to paint, but it's in service of the overall picture.
yeah,
So
I mean there's also this thing where like the majority of people painting
mhm.
are painting probably female figure and landscapes. Like there is some like innate like thing that draws humans to those two things. Even we've had plenty of guys who are not straight
Yeah,
on the show who paint female figures.
yeah,
We've
that's true.
had plenty of women who paint female figures who aren't lesbian.
Yeah,
But that like dilemma. I mean that kind of complicates the whole like, I don't know, male gaze or whatever thing.
yeah.
So it's I don't know. It's I don't know. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, well, that does come up every so often. The whole idea of the male gaze, especially when it comes into my work, like especially the painted roses stuff, because even though it is pretty like what I'm actually painting, it's, if you break it down, it's like pretty women in sometimes like or like in poses that are like revealing and maybe in some people's eyes like a little bit provocative sometimes too. But I really don't get the thing, like I don't really get the criticism of my work ever that it's like exploitative at all, really.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm like really shying away from like if someone were to like really question me on that, I don't know exactly what I would say,
I mean, for
I'm
me
like,
personally, I don't even look at your artwork and see any like sexual part to it, if that makes any sense. Like, it goes back to the like whole like that statement. I don't know who the fuck said it. I think Tupac or maybe Machine Gun Kelly, but it's something about porn when you see it. The whole like defining something and defining a nude painting versus porn. And that statement was made about like it when you see it type of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for your artwork, I don't see any like even sexual part to it. Like any, I don't know, maybe there is some part of it that is that, but for me, it's like, I don't know, it's not really, it's almost like the female form, which is like the human form in general is just like a thing. I feel like most like people paint in general, like that's just going to be a thing forever as long as we exist, which isn't going to be much longer after AI comes around. Illuminati hashtag doesn't really exist. But yeah, but humans just paint humans, and I feel like the majority of humans paint women, and that's because men are disgusting. But
Yeah. If
to
people
me,
paint men, they have to be like boxing or hunting.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, or sad, or like a construction worker.
Yeah, exactly.
You
They
know,
need to be tired in some way.
yeah, it's fucking. I don't know. God, I don't know. That always. That's like the main reason I don't want to paint men is like it ends up being like a sad thing. You know, like you're painting
Yeah.
sadness, and as far as like connecting my artwork with how I feel emotionally, a lot of times it does do that. Like if I'm painting sad shit, it like influences me in that weird way.
Yeah, for sure.
But what I was gonna say was that like your artwork always seems like a technical challenge. Like that's when I look at your stuff, to me, it's almost like I see you trying to challenge yourself
Mm.
technically.
Yeah.
And that's even why I have some gripes with like your work in general is because I feel like you're not challenged anymore. Like I was thinking about the other day, I was like, it's like sometimes you'll post like a throwback painting. I'm like, damn, this new piece is dope. And then it's like, oh, well, that one's old.
Yeah, I
You know?
know.
And it's almost like I could read the boredom. Like it's not even, it's like, it's almost like I can read that you're not into the idea based off of your old pieces. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
your old pieces, when I see them, I almost see like your enthusiasm through it. Like it was like, I'm like, whoa, this is fucking cool. Then I see like your new stuff and it's never like this fucking sucks. It's just not that. I'm never like, damn, this is awesome. Like
Yeah.
I am with your old pieces. And I was like, I noticed that the other day and I was like, man, Sergio needs to stop painting like this and start. Like, I want you to just, I mean, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm always trying to convince you to paint.
I know. Well, you're not the first person to say that either. I think way back in the day, Ozzy even brought that up before. He's like, because there was a time where I was painting a lot. Yeah, I was painting a lot of landscapes, and he was like, "You look like you're way more into painting these landscapes than you are the figures." It's like at that point in time, I was like, "Yeah, I am actually."
Yeah.
But yeah, right now, yeah, it's tough because like I do have some things that I'm working on, like of the Paint Roses stuff that I'm genuinely really excited to do right now because I did change it up a little bit and I'm doing something a little bit different technically in them as well. I think we talked about it a little bit before too. But yeah, that actually leads into the Moleskine book that I brought with me too. So can bring that up now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of want you to finish your thingy before I do that.
Oh, okay. But wait, where was I going?
I was going to ask you a question right before we do this.
Okay.
I was going to ask you, when you first created like the Painted Roses series, I'm assuming when you first tried it, it wasn't like all the way tweaked out. Like you didn't.
No, there was a lot that I still need to work out.
And then I'm assuming there was a point where you kind of like found your stride.
Oh yeah.
And at that point, I'm assuming you were like probably really excited about the series.
I was the most excited in the first year or so that I was doing it. And then I actually put it away for like 2 or 3 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I was like, then I went back and did a few different like pieces in gouache, I want to say. And then when I started working with a couple of models that were pretty well known, then that kind of blew the series up. And I was still really into painting the paintings I did around that time. But it got to a point where the technique of not only the execution of the painting, but the reference itself is like, oh, I could do this in my sleep at this point.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you're definitely detecting that part of it
for sure
when you're looking at the newer stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's a very valid criticism. It's pretty spot on a lot.
So would you say that like a big reason why you don't transition is because you feel pigeonholed, or is it a different reason?
In a way, yeah, because it's what galleries want the most from me.
Right.
They're whenever I branch out into something different. Like when I was doing this series, I did only a few paintings of that I called lucid color because it was basically color and light, like little studies of. It had pattern in it too, but there were like these monochrome paintings, like of kind of doing a little bit of the same sort of thing, but just a totally different color palette, different tone and mood to the paintings. And
where those were
maybe
like the skin tone was like bluer and stuff like that, like little moments of like warmth popping around somewhere, like that kind of thing.
maybe
I remember there was like a painting of like a lady and she was very blue, and then
yeah,
there was like a couple warm petals somewhere around her, and I was like, oh, that's
maybe
like, he seems like he's trying something there.
yeah, it could possibly have been that, but yeah, it was hard to try and figure that series out and have the demand of of galleries wanting the stuff that I was doing at the same time. So
Right.
I find it really hard to divide my time or just divide my, I guess, mental energy from series to series. Like I've kind of found that it's really hard for me to work on two different types of things at the same time. I have to kind of be mentally committed to one or the other.
Right.
And
Yeah. And are you pretty, like, as far as like just saying fuck this series, that's the direction I want to go? Is that just fear, you think?
It's almost more that I need to kind of finalize it in my head, like
you need closure?
a little
Is it
bit.
a breakup?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've already decided that I'm not shooting any more Painted Roses like reference for the time being. I don't know how long I'll take a hiatus from that for a while.
And that's over.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, by taking that away from me,
There's
from
kids
myself,
playing outside and they're yelling. I don't know if we're going to pick that up. And if we do, we're not murdering kids, by the way. But go on. Sorry.
what was I saying? Yeah, I because I have all this reference from that series that I still want to work from. I feel like finishing the paintings that I'm really still stoked about creating that I have in my head for them. It's like, okay, now finally I can like push that away for a while and move on to something else.
Nice.
So,
That's
but
cool.
yeah, I have been working at least in the reference stage in my computer for all these other things, and that's been fun to really mess around with my reference that I have in a different way.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like important. I think like once you had a idea or a direction you're going in, you've kind of gone to its last little bit of road you've walked down or whatever, then you're now excited about going down this other direction. You just have to kind of be like, let's do this shit, and I don't know, like, it is tough to be an artist and understand that you're probably going to fail. It's like you're restarting, going in this one direction, and you're probably going to fail. But I think the great thing about that is that you just get good at like restarting. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like the restart just becomes quicker and quicker and quicker the more you're like, this is the direction I'm going now. And I think building relationships helps with that as far as galleries are concerned and those type of things. And, I mean, I've mentioned it before, but I switched to oil painting a while ago, almost maybe a year and a half now, maybe more. But like everything froze for a while. Like my social media just stopped. I was just losing followers for a while.
Yeah.
And that's not the same. That's changed. And, well, I felt this weird vibe from galleries, especially some that I've worked with for a long time. And you just get this weird, and you'll get like comments and things, and you're like, okay, well, I don't, and it's like I don't give a fuck because I like I'm committed to going this direct. It's like, to me, it goes back to like art being precious. And the second I don't enjoy it, I don't want to go that direction anymore. You know, like I don't think art is not, it's like the great thing about art is that it is, you're always going to be able to do something you've never done before. You know, it's lucky in that way. People have to usually go scuba diving or go on a fucking zip line in Brazil
Yeah.
to like experience something new. Us as artists, we get the benefit of being able to sit in our house or wherever our studio is and experience something new for the first time and learn something new for the first time all the time. And when I get bored with a style or a direction or whatever I'm going in, we're able to switch directions and enjoy it in a different new way. And that to me is very important. So when you let things kind of dictate the direction you go because of like fear or like galleries or whatever, I think it long term is like not, you know, it's like I think it'll affect you in the long term as far as like it'll just stunt your growth for a little bit. The assumption is you'll get there at some point. I'm here to tell you and that's why I'm here to help you. So I'll just be the asshole.
Yeah, exactly. We all need friends like this, don't we? But
good thing I just do it on a podcast.
Yeah, for all the world to hear.
But yeah,
hilarious. But back to what you're saying about pigeonholing, it is. I do feel a bit in a way pigeonholed, but it's all my own doing, and the only reason that happened that way is because it probably came a little too easy. Like it wasn't. It kind of the idea of the painted roses thing, like that initial version of it, it kind of dictated the way it has looked since. It's just been tweaking and refining the concept, but not really going outside of it at all, really.
Right.
I have done some things that are a little bit different from it. Like I had like sort of an offshoot version of it, but I found it got way too complicated. Like it wasn't fun to do it that way. But yeah, I think that's what happens if something comes too easily. Then yeah, if you do it over and over again, you're inevitably going to get bored with it.
For sure. I mean, it's also the thing that gets you hooked. You know.
Yeah.
It's like no one enjoys things they suck at.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
well, I don't.
Yeah. And if you do, you're a weirdo. But yeah,
making your life hard. You know?
But I think this is probably a good time to grab your moleskin.
Yeah.
So this is the piece you're sending over to the I don't know, London town. Yeah. This is interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot different than the painted roses stuff.
God, I have horrible lighting in here. That's cool. Nice. And do you have a title for this?
Yeah, I have a title for it, and it might end up being the title for the direction of the series that I'm going in, but I'm calling it Fetish of Form.
Fetish of Form.
Yeah. So, yeah, that title kind of means a few different things where it's a takeoff from that orgies in the dark sort of thing that I've been doing. But because it's just trying to figure out if I abstract the form in a certain way, am I still compelled to?
And this thins this way, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, it's a vertical
I mean,
piece.
I see the figure there, kind of.
Yeah.
So I assume so much, but I was like, I don't know if it's like a... Do you tell the gallery?
Yeah, I'll have to probably tell them now. It's like
You're
what's
gonna have
the
to
right
get
way
used to that if you go this direction.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, weren't we? Who were we talking about that with?
Well, in that scenario, the signature helps out a lot.
Yeah, that's
Boom.
true.
Yeah, this is cool. I like it. So, I mean, as far as the title, it makes me assume that 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 form is the focus for the entire thing. So is the color a big part of that, or?
I'm trying to figure that out too as well. Like, there's some abstract artists that I came across recently that I really wanted to try dipping my toes in that direction.
Such as?
Shoot, I forgot her name.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a girl artist.
Exactly.
Girl artists aren't funny. Sorry, bad joke.
That's hilarious. But I'll put a link on
for sure.
on the thing.
Is her name Janice Florty?
Janice Florty?
No. How about Mary Samson Figure?
Trying to figure out if these are plays on real names.
Dorothy Boobleface. Boobleface Kinston.
So.
Georgina Washington. Named after our first president.
Okay. I was trying to think. Is that like a R&B singer or something?
Okay, I'm done guessing names. It's cool. I like certain parts of it. It feels like I don't know. See, abstract is always tougher because some parts I like and some things I'm not that into. But I mean, I like this. Is this gouache?
Yeah.
I like this from a like there.
Yeah.
Which is probably good. It's probably spot on. But I'm like, if anyone's listening, it was like an arm's reach. The close. The thing I get the most hyped about with abstract stuff is always like texture. It's always like a built up layer thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, gouache doesn't lend itself to that. At least not that I know of. Maybe I've never played with it.
It really doesn't. The stuff that I'm using right now, that type of gouache is mostly acrylic gouache. So it's gouache with a bit of matte medium mixed into it, basically. So you can layer it a bit more because it's not water soluble once it dries, and like most gouache is.
It's probably tough too because your paint the surface you're painting on.
Yeah, it's not the ideal surface.
So you're not going to be able to build up layers. Because I've seen some of your other abstract stuff and it's like very layered-y. I don't know if this is a different direction. Like you've played around with that. Now you're going this direction?
Not necessarily. It's more just I wanted to see what would happen if I try to translate that to paper.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I like it. I do.
But yeah, I don't know if gouache is the right medium for what I want to express with this
there's
series.
like I like that. That's like one of my favorite things, which is weird. Maybe
that's hilarious. He's looking at a little like blue triangle thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like the figure. I like the whole the top part coming up. I mean, I don't know if it's supposed to feel like a fire, but that's what it feels like to me.
Okay.
In a weird way, even though the blue is. I mean, it's kind of in the right spot. And I do like how I'm interested in seeing how this plays out. Because I do like how the abstract and the real are being mixed. I like that in general.
Yeah.
I like when people are play with those kind of things. So
exactly, yeah.
And I could see it. It then ends up just being the medium. And the surface you're painting on doesn't. I can imagine it in a different form that I would much more prefer, just because I'm assuming you would build up layers, but I might be wrong. Maybe you're not.
It's still a work in progress and all that.
But I like it. I mean, I like it's a huge leap from where you've been.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So,
what's interesting, it doesn't feel that crazy of a leap to me because I guess it kind of. The starting points are relatively similar. It's still a figure that I put up against a background and shot a bunch of pictures of. But it's just like from there, it departs pretty quickly. Like even the lighting situations are way different for the shoots. And then rather than like putting her against the background and adding stuff to it. It's a bunch of layering of poses on each other.
Right.
And then I go in there and I almost treat the pictures as like a paint, or like if there was a bunch of layers on top of each other, scraping them out, adding stuff in, doing all that, like doing it digitally first before putting it onto canvas. But I'm trying to see if it might just be better to not even go with the digital route, just only go with the pictures and then just go straight on into fucking around and experimenting with the...
Right. That's what I do. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even, who are we talking with when they were saying they would like lay out shit on the floor?
Oh, it was the lost episode.
Oh, but but yeah, that might be a good technique if you print out a bunch and then you like physically fuck each one up in a way. You might that might add something to it.
Yeah, yeah. I've wanted to do something with collage in a way anyway, so that might be something. Yeah, there's just so many different ways to go once you break out of representational.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like right now, especially the state, where you're at art, like if you go like full on in this direction, that to me is like some of the funnest shit you'll experience as an artist. It's like I have no idea. It's the getting lost, you know. It's that whole thing. Is that like that? Like trying to embrace the like. I have no idea where this direction is going, but like I know there's something there.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna fine tune it, and then. You know, and then you get bored. This goes back to comedy talk. Comedy talk with Josh and Sergio.
The two funniest people on the planet.
Knock knock. But the whole idea of like, you know, you hear comedians, they'll talk about it where they put out a special and then they're back to being like full on like I have no idea where I'm going anymore.
Yeah.
And then they slowly build up this body of work and then they release it and then they have to restart again because you can't laugh at a joke twice. It's a law.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, they get to kind of and I think with them, the more you do that, the more quicker and better you get at being like, all right, that's done. Like next, what's my next shit, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, that's like important. It's the whole like thing we were talking about earlier about failing. It's like, you just have to be like, fuck it, let's figure this out. And then, you know, I mean, it's even like what Andrew from Thinkspace was talking about. He mentioned that about how like artists will like, you know, go and change their style up. And he seemed very supportive of that. And I think galleries should be, because they're betting that you understand what good art is and that they believe in you. And so if you change it up, just because the original idea isn't as fine-tuned or, you know, the end product that they're used to as you as an artist, they should support that wholeheartedly, understanding that you know as an, like, you're the artist, you know that you have something there, and they should trust that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the hard part for me right now, because I don't have the confidence in the series yet to.
But that's the good
approach
part.
this out.
I mean,
approach anybody, but I'm also not worried about that yet either.
Yeah.
Like, I'm giving myself the time to figure it out before I try and put it out in the world that much yet.
Just put it out. Just put it out. That's my suggestion. I mean, put it out on Instagram. You'll get feedback, you know, any which way.
That's true.
And who cares? You might get less likes. Who cares? Like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone might stop following you. Literally, I might unsubscribe. But who cares?
All I need to do is start posting my landscapes to my regular account, and
Yeah.
then people will start dropping
Hey,
off.
you
again.
might find yourself with a long stick and a little basket of clothes at the end of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Who cares? You might end up homeless on the street, and who cares? At least you'll have this podcast as long as you shower still. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I like it. I want to see where you go. There's plenty of times where I'm like, I want to go full abstract. That sounds like a slur when I say it like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not that. It's weird because there's even abstract artists I like. I mean, there's a few that they're not even abstract. They're like, I don't know what the fuck you call it. Like, I'm really into that Mark English guy. Like, I'm hooked on his shit right now.
Oh, are you? Nice.
But he's just like an abstracted version of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But stuff that's like full abstract, I'm not that into. Then go suck it. I hate you. Yeah. If you're an abstract artist and you're listening, yeah, you suck it.
But I'll still have you on the show.
No, I'm just kidding. I actually want to reach out to some abstract artists.
I do too. Yeah.
And talk art. I'm just worried because they might say something like, "Oh, I love Pollock," and I'm like, "Get out, get out." But yeah.
You like Pollock this much, you throw a bunch of paint at him.
But I don't know.
What was I going to say? What you were saying before about like getting lost in the painting, not knowing where it's going to go. That's been like the 180-degree turn from what I've been doing with most of my work, because I'm always like, the reference has to look like what the painting is going to look like. And
Right.
to break myself out of that is fucking with my head.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do it that way.
For sure. Have you ever thought about heroin?
Got some?
I mean, like heroines, like women heroes,
Oh, okay.
like that artist you were talking about earlier. I think her name was Samantha Jubelstein.
Yeah. If you could find me a funny woman artist, she'll be my hero.
Yeah, Jim Carrey. Just kidding.
Jane Carey.
I think Joe Rogan was talking about Jim Carrey and how he just paints artwork making fun of people.
Oh, yeah. He's like, is that what you really want to do?
Yeah, is that like, yeah.
But that was kind of my gripe with him when we did the show, talking shit about him, too.
So what you're saying is Joe Rogan heard our podcast.
Exactly.
Wow.
He took his
Plagiarism.
Yeah, he took his intro from last week's intro.
Which, I mean, some say was the best / worst intro of all time.
I'll deal. Yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah, I don't know. You got anything else new? What? I mean, we already talked about what we're working on.
Let's see. Well, I guess I could plug all the shit that I'm working on all this for.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got the portrait for Fault Line coming up. There's that
Shout out
show.
to Fault Line.
Yeah. I think the opening for that is the 22nd of September.
So if you're in the Oakland area, go and join that orgy.
Yeah, exactly. There'll probably be a bunch of our homies there.
Homies?
Mm-hmm.
We don't say that word.
Did that sound too weird coming out of my...
A little bit. And then.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to get interrupted. And then, yeah, so I actually don't even know exactly when the Moleskine show is opening. I just know that he wanted our paintings done pretty soon for it.
Right. Sounds like an artist.
Yeah. Well, no, it's actually the gallerist's fault this time to not tell us yet when that's opening.
Well, I know my dates, like a Ben Gallery that's in November See that gap right there, Sergio? Fill in. I'm gonna text you the thing and just say the thing.
Okay. Don't use a robot voice
Yeah.
to put it in.
17. But yeah, I don't know. I got literally nothing else after that. Well, yeah, we're figuring some stuff out, and
Yeah.
with a couple of galleries, but I don't know. I'm figuring it out. We'll figure it out. I'm figuring it out. We'll figure it out.
And then actually, it's the 16th. I have a couple of paintings that I'm bringing to the gallery that I have here close by in Duncan's Mills, California. It's population 85.
God, this part of the podcast is so boring.
But yeah, I'm working on it. I got to finish a painting this weekend for that. So
Nice. Is it landscape?
it is a female in a seascape.
Oh.
So
Is that some kind of dress? What's a seascape?
Oh, it is a beach scene.
Oh, like on her dress? Or
No, she's in the scene itself
like in a forest?
on the beach.
Wearing a dress
Yeah.
of the ocean.
No.
How many turtles? Sorry.
I'll put one in
I have
for
to
you.
entertain myself somehow, Sergio.
I appreciate it.
I know what a seascape is. I was lying the whole time. That's called acting and scene.
I'm trying to yes and you. I didn't take any improv courses though, so I'm not the best at it.
The thing is, like, you have to become the person. You know what I mean? You have to become the person, Sergio.
I'm becoming the Josh.
All right, sorry guys. This is one of those episodes. You guys know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's me and Sergio. We shoot this shit for almost 2 hours.
And we somehow trick you into listening.
And by the end, we get offended if you're still listening.
Yeah.
This is one of those times. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm listening back to the episode, when I get to the end, I'm like, yeah, Josh, you have a point. Why am I still fucking listening? But yeah, I don't know. We talked somewhere, right?
Yeah, in the beginning.
Did we talk science?
We have not.
Pluto. Pluto is the smallest planet that doesn't exist in the solar system.
I feel like this is what the waiting to dry audience came for, to hear this part.
What else did we talk history? We said George Washington earlier. So
Yeah,
that's
we did.
checked. Fart jokes.
Fart jokes. We need more fart jokes.
Where are we at? What do we got? Come on, sir. Just say it. Go ahead.
My
3,
stomach
2,
was gurgling earlier this morning.
That's just disgusting. Don't make our audience sick. You really know how to change a mood. You really know how to clear out a room. Like a fart. Okay, that was bad. All right. Yeah, that's two for one. Bad joke and fart joke.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. What else did we talked art. Yeah, we already checked that box.
Mm-hmm.
And comedy.
We
Movies.
made fun of MJ. That's part
Made
of it.
fun of MJ. Shout out David Chaffetz.
I think we even mentioned Monty Guy.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did.
I don't think we did.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well, there you go.
maybe I zoned out during that part. Was that when you said, that I'll probably see a bunch of my homies? Was that mentioning Monty? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, exactly.
My home dogs. Yeah. All right. Well, sorry guys. I don't know.
Gonna get lit at the opening.
It's gonna be super, super warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was that. We did it. This has been waiting to dry. If you're still listening, fuck off.
I mean, really, guys.
Really.